Hi everyone, today I'm at Indiegogo with the CEO, David Mandelbrot. I met David actually a few years ago. We were just talking about how many years it's been. I think 3.5 years ago when I was designing an initiative for Indiegogo. And what I remember from that time was that I really enjoyed being in your presence, to be around you, because it was kind of stressful times at the company. But you had, like, despite of everything was going on, you had such a warm, welcoming, like, almost comfortable presence. So it was like really pleasant.
That's nice to hear that you remember that. I do remember it being a chaotic time, but I don't know. It always feels to me like there's an opportunity to create sort of a warmth and maybe some order, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, and now you're the CEO of Indiegogo.
Yes.
And I know you've been the CEO of companies before. And to give perspective, can you tell us how many years experience you have as an executive at different companies?
Well, as an executive, probably now I would say about probably like 15 to 20 years actually. Boy, I got to do that math really quickly in my head. About 20 years really as an executive. My first really large-scale management experience managing, say, 100 people or more was at Yahoo, probably about 18 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite some experience.
Yeah.
I'd say. One of the main areas we work on with my executive clients is how to scale yourself as a leader when the company is scaling and growing.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest challenges. Number one, do you believe that an executive has to learn how to scale themselves, put work into that, or like it naturally happens?
I don't think that it naturally happens. I think that to be able to scale any business, it's really important that you set up systems that enable that business to scale. I've spent a lot of time working with companies that are transitioning from being early stage startups to larger companies, say with at least 100, or more employees. And what I've found is that companies in that stage really struggle with scaling, and it's primarily a struggle of going from being a size company where the CEO or whoever's in charge of the company is making every decision to transitioning to a company where others are empowered to make critical decisions.
And how do you do that?
It's a great question. There's a few ways to do that. When I, as I mentioned, I worked at Yahoo a long time ago in my career, and our president at the time, Jeff Mallett, I used to go to him seeking advice about how to scale companies, because Yahoo, when I joined Yahoo, there were, I think, 700 people there, and when I left, there were 12,000, 6 years later. So the company had, really grew and scaled really rapidly. And I asked Jeff, how do you scale a company that fast? And he said, the only way to scale really quickly is to hire really good people, which we can talk about more. And the second thing is to then push out decision-making as far as possible. And those words have really stuck with me all these years, because at the end of the day, if a company is struggling to scale, what it's really struggling with, I think, is the ability to make decisions and act without needing, meetings or CEO sign off or, whatever it is. Companies, to be able to scale, they need to be set up operationally in a way that enables them to make decisions and act quickly.
It's almost in line. I really believe that the bigger the company is and the higher the position in the hierarchy, the less busy a person should get. So the business level should be opposite to the level of in the hierarchy as the company is growing. And I think it also forces that creating a system that works without the need of the time, because the person who's doing strategy has to have space and time to work on that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the things that just how do you scale? How do you enable a business to scale? As it's growing. Part of it, there's a few things that I think really need to be done to enable that business to scale quickly. One is establishing, consistently for the whole company what the biggest priorities are. So, for example, at Indiegogo, I think about 5 years ago now, we implemented, an OKR system where we have objectives and key results, so that across the company, everybody knows what is a priority, so that when something new is crossing somebody's desk, they can, or on their laptop nowadays, they can see that thing and they can see whether it jives with what the priorities are, and if it doesn't, then they can know, okay, I can back burner this so I can focus my energy on something that's higher priority. And the second thing related to that is to set for everybody really clear goals. A lot of times I think when companies are struggling to scale, what they're really struggling with is people are having, they feel like they need to get sign off for each thing that they're going to do. We just got this contract offer and I want to make sure you're okay with me going back with this response. But what I think is actually a better way to manage is to make sure that each individual is clear on what their goals are, and then stay out of it. Then let them accomplish their goals their way. And from a management standpoint, that system works a lot easier also, because then you don't, at the end of a performance review period, you don't have to decide if the person was good or bad. What you're really looking at is their effectiveness at accomplishing those goals that were laid out for them.
Sometimes I feel like it's easier said than done. What do you think is a challenge for people to actually step away from that, okay?
Yeah.
And then doing that psychologically. Have you ever felt that? That psychological challenge of stepping out of that process?
Yes, I have, and I think for anybody that's managing, it's sometimes hard to step out a little bit and to actually empower other people, with something important. One of the things that I love about Indiegogo, and that was actually in place at Indiegogo even before I arrived here, were our core company values. And they have the acronym FACE for fearlessness, authenticity, collaboration, and empowerment. And that last one, empowerment, has always, like all of them, but that one in particular has always really resonated with me. That I think part of the trick of effective managing is really empowering people to take on big tasks. And what I've found is that when you do that, when you actually empower people to take on a big challenge, and by empowering them, you're stepping out of it, a little bit, they gain knowledge and experience that only further allows you to scale, because they're getting the knowledge and experience that enables them to do it the next time and the time after that, and for them to teach then other people to do it. Whereas if you're always getting involved, then there's always this need for you individually to get involved, then you can only scale the company as broad as you yourself can go. And to go back to your original question, I completely agree. If I feel like if my schedule is booked, back to back with meetings, it means that I have probably not done as good a job as I could do at empowering the people around me.